Dear Nick, it's been so much fun doing lens research with you for your upcoming feature film. We had a blast at NAB and Cinegear getting to play with some of the nicest glass in the film industry. But I still see you on your computer every night doing endless research on lenses. Most recently, you've been taking a deep dive into the DZOFilm Arles primes. The Arles set seems to be everything you're looking for, from their technical aspects, like the fast speed, VistaVision coverage, and clean image, but also those indescribable qualities, how they make you feel. I can see your excitement when you see the image that these lenses create. Something about them, it just makes you light up. Of course, they're a lot bigger than some of our other lenses. They can be a lot to carry sometimes, and harder to set up on a gimbal, especially if we're shooting on the Red V-Raptor. For those shoots, we'll probably want support equipment, tripods, jibs, Steadicam type solutions. But you can always put the Arles primes on a small, mirrorless body for the run and gun shoots, and they still look just as beautiful. After all, you always tell me that the lens is more important than the camera body. And these lenses, they seem pretty special. You've been on an epic quest to find your forever lens, a set that fits your style and could go with us for life. I think if you can get used to the higher weight, the Arles primes might be just what you've been looking for. I can see how much you've loved using them, and I think that they help you capture the world the way that you've always imagined. Is your quest coming to an end? Tell me what you think. With all my love, your wife.
Hey everybody, Nick here. How about a nice round of applause for my wife, who was such a trooper and so kind to make that little short film for me in honor of these lenses. So these are the DZO Arles primes that I've been really interested in and obsessing over for a while now. I've made a few videos about these, and this was sort of the first real sort of sinking my teeth into them, as it were. Obviously that was a real short video, totally unplanned. We just went out, shot that for 20-30 minutes or so, and I sort of had that concept in the back of my mind as it's being written as a diary entry. It sort of went over the points that I was thinking about as I started using these lenses. They're essentially, super clean, really serious cine lenses, totally capable, and really the only drawback in terms of my use cases is that they're much heavier than certain other things that I'm used to. Now, let's take a quick step back here and talk about how, I've approached the world of cinema and video. I come from the stills world. I was a stills photographer for a number of years, starting 20 years ago, more or less. And I progressed to video throughout that entire 20 years, but I was much more, heavily in just the stills side for a long time. As I got into video, I was always kind of looking to make my video feel like my still images felt and look like my still images looked. And like many of you probably, I initially took my DSLR, went into video mode, shot something, got back to my computer, and I was like, why does this look absolutely nothing like I was expecting? Even though I'm sort of framing the way I used to frame and shooting the way I used to shoot, just nothing looks right. The colors look wrong, the motion looks wrong. Everything is jittery and terrible and awful. And, I slowly got into not just the equipment of cinema, but really the practice and the craft of it, which is so much different from stills photography. At its core, video is merely 24 still frames a second, or more or less, depending on your frame rate. But it's essentially just a bunch of stills frames that go together to make a moving image. But it's so much more than that, and it's so different in so many ways. But at the end of the day, the tools are sometimes really similar. So I love lenses like this RF 50mm f1.2L lens, fantastic stills lens for so many things. My favorite lens in the stills world, as I was sort of exiting it, is this 85mm RF 1.2L. Beautiful, beautiful portrait focal length, so useful in that stills world. And that was kind of the feeling I was looking for. And for a long time, I had a hard time chasing it. And as I've gotten better and as I've developed my skills as a cinematographer, I've figured out what it is that I like and don't like and want and don't want. And I feel like I'm finally converging on that space where finally my moving images feel a little bit more like my stills images did. And these Arles primes are essentially that high quality L series stills glass in a cinema package. It's not exactly the same. These are designed differently, for example, to combat focus breathing, which they do tremendously well. But the essence of this really high quality, very well corrected, very high resolution, sharp glass in a robust cinema body is kind of the philosophy behind these lenses, as far as I see it. And they do everything I want. They're delivering the images that I love. On the other hand, they're very heavy. Now, some of you who've been in the world of cinema longer than I have won't care about this. You'll say, 1,700 grams of lens is pocket change because we're almost always on significant support equipment, big tripods, big jibs, techno cranes, easy rigs, steady cams, all that stuff. Or, even better, I'm not the camera operator, I don't care how heavy the lens is. Which I wish I could be. I don't really love being the operator per se. I definitely want to frame the shot. I definitely want to have control over this stuff. But when it comes to lifting the camera, I don't enjoy having this much weight on my back for an entire shoot day. This gets a little bit beefy here, and this isn't very crazy at all. This has my ultralight Plastic Fantastic handles, a low profile monitor mount. It's just the follow focus setup here and a very light matte box. This is the Tilta Mirage. It's very light and it doesn't have any filters in it right now. So this is a, pretty compact setup as far as real cinematography goes, but I don't want to be carrying that all day long. So you can see in the demo footage, we mostly are using tripods, a couple handheld shots with the Canon R5C. I guess this is kind of where the rubber meets the road for me. Like, if I want to go full cinema, maybe I just have to commit to lenses that are a little bit heavier than I want to be. On the other hand, I like doing things my way. If for me the priority is super lightweight, do I keep looking? But it's really hard to argue with this image. The lenses just perform so beautifully. Almost every frame in this short little demo video is extremely sharp, extremely beautiful, well corrected. The colors are just the way I want them to be. These lenses shift just a little bit warm, and of course you can correct just about anything to anything, but as a default, I kind of like things shading just a little bit warm. What's my recommendation to people? So let's say you're like, I really want them, but I can't afford $10,000 for a whole set. So for me, I've learned that the way I like to shoot usually involves just 3 focal lengths. I like a 24-25, a 50, and then a long. And the long can be sort of anywhere between 85 and 135. And so I really like this 100. This is like right on the nose for me. Sometimes 85 feels a little bit short and sometimes 135 feels a little bit long. So long story short, 25, 50, 100. Those would be like my desert island lenses. And so, okay, well, you're saying, well, maybe I can't afford 3. Then maybe you just go for the 50 and then get a less expensive 25 and 100. So like if I was just getting 3 lenses, desert island, you give me $3,000, $4,000 to work with, I'm gonna get the Arles 50, and then maybe like a Vespid 25 and a Vespid 100. That'll cover you for just about anything you could ever need. This 50 just makes such a beautiful lens for so many conditions, you know. And some of you will say, no, I love 35s too much, so maybe my desert island set would be a 35 and a 75. In that case, great, get two Arles lenses, get the 35 and the 75, and go shoot your movie. For me, I have a hard time not having a little wider. The 25, I really like having something that wide. And then the 50 is like what I use for the vast majority of everything. Like almost everything is 50 unless I really need it wide or I really want to zoom in on something. So the 100 would be like my nothing else matters lens except what's in this frame, you know, nothing but you and me right in this frame, or just the tight close-up on this one person. The 25 is we really need to see what's going on. You know, we want a two-shot that's close, or like an extreme close-up that feels really distorted, you know, for like mistrusting a person or a feeling of dysphoria or just seeing the whole scene together. And then the 50 is everything else, you know. It's your close-ups that are normal, it's your two shots, it's your details, your inserts, your B-roll, everything is like the 50 for me. So this is how I've found that I like to shoot. In anamorphic land, it would be the same 3 focal lengths, because no matter how wide the anamorphic stretch is, I'm just gonna crop down to, you know, roughly 2:1 or 16:9 anyway. And so you're getting the same field of view anyway. I'm just delighted with these lenses. Yeah, they're a little heavy, but I feel like I'm willing to pay that price for what you get. So far in the cinema world, there's nothing that is this good that's any lighter. So here's maybe the competition, right? You know, this is a Canon CNE 50mm lens. Brand new, this actually costs significantly more than this lens. Used, you can get it about the same price. This is a smidge faster at t1.3, and this is an f1.2 design, where this is an f1.4 design. But this guy has less sharpness and resolution. It has a little bit more vignetting. It has a lot more in the way of chromatic aberrations and coma. They both will produce great images, but again, when I'm talking like desert island stuff, I like the pictures I get out of this lens more. And what's the difference between these two? 450 grams or so. So not crazy. It's a pound. On a gimbal, every pound, you know, makes kind of a big difference. And something about these, when they're hanging off the end of a camera that you're holding, makes a big difference. But again, usually in the world of cinema, you're on supportive equipment or someone else is carrying your camera for you. So these lenses are gorgeous. I've been having an extraordinarily fun time using them. Every time I look through one of these lenses with a camera, I'm excited by it. Those are my ongoing rants. Let me know if you have any other questions. In the last video, I mentioned something and didn't explain it well. I said that DZOFilm had asked me not to just like pit these directly against my Athenas. It's not because they're afraid of the Athenas, it's because they knew that's my primary prime set. That's like what I have here. I don't have a whole set of CNEs. I've just got this one. And so they were like, hey, if you're making lens comparisons, it's not really fair to put us against a much lower budget set and not anything else against which we're really designed to compete. I'm sorry that I didn't explain that well. These absolutely deserve to be compared against really high tier glass, but I'm not the kind of guy who's just gonna shoot a bunch of charts and set up, you know, fairy lights so you can see the exact same shot 18 times. I know those are helpful. I watch those videos myself, but that's not what I do. You know, I'm after what's gonna help me make the movie that I wanna make. And right now, these look like a really good answer to that question. So I hope this was helpful. I'm sorry that I go on so long and rant in so many different directions. Let me know if you have any other questions about these that I can answer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.